dude, it was so much fun. Like you got to pee your pants, man. Like you'd be on a run and you'd be like,
Yeah,
fuck it.
yeah.
You
Or a
just,
ruck march. Yeah, a lot of
yeah, you
times
just,
you just piss, dude. Fuck
yeah, like
it.
I would take it out and spray, right? Like spray off to the side.
And it was just his wife constantly dragging him on like, I don't want to be in this life.
Topics for today. We on the Valhalla VFT. And you know what channel you on over here. I didn't take no magic tasty gains. I didn't take them today. But I'm on fire, man. I'm making a hydroponic strawberry planter today. I just finished it up, man. Waiting for some chemicals to come in. We're going to fire up some strawberries in the backyard. Growing vertical, man. Growing vertical. Real quick, we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about quitters. So I had a quitter at Bud's. It was very telling. I got a big video coming out about it. We're going to talk about quitters for the first 30 minutes in Special Forces Selection, AFAS, the Q course. And then obvious for us, you got Hell Week, right? And Hell Week is another one of those things where, like, it's just voodoo. Like, weird shit happens. Like, I tell this story real quick. Okay, so we're at the Bayside. We get attacked by these arthropods. They cut us. We're bleeding. Everybody's bleeding. So we stand up. I'm like, holy shit, everybody has just got blood running down. So the instructors are like, no, get back in the water. I'm like, fuck you. We get out of the water. They're like, oh shit. So then like, okay. So they let us, this is SEAL training. We were butt ass naked in the water getting eaten alive by these arthropods. Put your clothes back on. We gonna get back in the water. 3 or 4 dudes quit right there, okay? The water was cold. Air temp was 37 degrees. We get in the water. They had this thing called Lion's Lope where you just like do like this. And I kept watching this boat crew and they were angling towards this little dock. We were maybe like 20 yards off the beach. Like we're just parallel on the beach. I'm like, God, what are they doing, man? Like it wasn't hard. Like you're just cold. The whole boat crew got out. The whole boat crew, all 7 of them. They would drop you.
Oh, if you ran over there and took a hot dog, like,
And just you're going right in front of them. I was like, hey, where you going? We're quitting.
All of them? Yeah, I had to ditch the sleeves too. It's hot as shit in the house. All right, cool.
Hey, no. You know, it's interesting you said that because I was like, Nate has sleeves on. He's wearing a legit shirt today. But then Nate got rid of all his stuff, and now he's back to caveman Nate with a loincloth.
Yeah, all right. So excited about this one today. It's going to be fun. I think, man, I'm sure you've got some great quitter stories. I know I do. From NFL players to all kinds of stuff that I've seen happen. So, and then second half we'll talk about war with China, what it looks like. Does Nate actually know what he's talking about? Jake's pretty well spun up on a lot of this stuff too. So I think it'll be a really good conversation. So
Absolutely,
why don't we jump into this bad boy?
Okay, so I just shot a video with a young man, and this is one of the things that I try to explain to people that you can't put into words. Okay. A lot of people, when they get to training, are in shock of the savagery that is going on. Okay. And a lot of people, so my young man, that just quit 2 weeks ago, called me on a Tuesday, like, Jake, everybody is so crazy. They're so mean. Like, I'm like, hey, bro, this is the land, man. Like, you're going to the land of savages, bro. This is not the land of, like, fucking ice cream and lollipops. It just ain't. Yeah. He's like, well, what do I need to do? I said, punch the first motherfucker that says something to you in the face. What? I can't. Oh, what? I'm like, yeah, man, that's your answer, okay? So the next day he goes out, killing it. He leaves all his equipment for the swim in his personal cage back at the barracks. He don't have no equipment. They go to the quitters. There's a bunch of drops. All their gear is still in there. He hodgepodges his life jacket, his knife, his flare, and his fins. He goes out to muster. Obviously, they see that none of the stuff is his. They beat him and his swim buddy, and then he goes on a 2-mile swim and quits. Pretty much half of the way into the swim, he quits. Okay. And cats ask me, and I tell them, and I don't know how it is for you guys, but we know who's gonna quit from the beginning. Like you could tell who's gonna quit.
That's interesting. I would say typically, but I got a few stories of guys. I think you probably have some too. Sometimes you'll have like onesies and twosies who you're like, that dude's a shoe-in. He's gonna make it for sure, and then they'll just blindside you and fucking quit out of nowhere.
Okay.
I don't know if you got any of that, but I will agree. Like typically, like 98% of the dudes, you're like, yeah, that dude ain't gonna make it. You just know.
But I will say this: in SEAL training, You cannot hang your hat on anyone. Anyone. Like, I
Yeah.
don't care how well they're doing. They may, and you be like, oh my God, what?
Well, you guys have the water, man. And the thing about the fucking water is like day 1, you're fine. Day 5, you're fine. And then all of a sudden, like day 7, it's like time to get back underneath the fucking water again and like do fucking crossovers over and over and over again and fucking, oh, start doing 50s again. And like, I mean, I've been there before where you're just like, fuck this, dude. Like it's
Well,
just it's just a whole nother level of like all of a sudden can like overwhelm someone's brain and make them make a decision to quit they never would have. SF, ours is like just this constant sleep depth, food depth, heavy rut grind that you can sort of just zone out a lot of the times. There were so many times where you just fucking zoned out walking. You're like, this sucks. But you just do it, right? And you just keep going, and you just keep walking. But that fucking water, dude, where it's like, hey, do ditch and dawn for the 10th fucking time in a row.
mm-hmm,
And like dudes
mm-hmm.
are just like they'll come up and just be like, "Nah, fuck this, man." So I think that's like
So,
a big for quitting. I feel like the SEALs probably have more guys quit than we do in SFAS. We have a lot of guys not pass. We have a lot of guys not like land navigation, right? Like not very many dudes are quitting at land nav, but it's going to wipe out 20 to 30% of the class due to failures. What's your take on that?
and we're going to talk about like the difference is you guys are, let's say average age of somebody in AFAS is at least 25, if not a little higher,
Yeah,
correct?
probably average. Yeah, probably around 25.
And our average age is like 22 years old. There's a huge maturity difference, and pretty much, unless you're 18 X-ray, all your guys are coming with some experience into the Green Berets, right? They're not just coming straight off the street. All of our guys are coming straight off the street, unless they're a prior Marine. Those dudes murder it, okay?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just think like for us, the water. But I'm gonna tell you this. So the things that, in my opinion, lack of preparation, and
Mm.
then
Yeah. Yeah.
inability to be right. So like, have grit. Do you have grit? Are you a gritty individual? Because I'm gonna tell you, like one of the worst things is running around with all of your scuba gear for miles with rubber booties on, carrying your fins, tanks, like mask on, like you got everything on, like you're going on a dive and you are traversing around like from the wet side to the dry side, mile and a half, right?
Yeah.
You get done with the dive, you're running back, mile and a half in booties, right? Like
Oh. Ugh.
with I mean, you got 80 pounds of gear on. It's all on
Yeah.
your back. It ain't situated right. It's none of it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's like, but the quitting part of it, I think, is interesting because, when I talked to the young men, I had a dude that came to me really late. He was already in buds. I got a phone call and it was Sunday night. And he goes, I don't think anybody's going to quit, Jake. I said,
Yeah,
what?
that's not a thing.
He goes, man, we have an amazing class. We got great leadership. And I'm like, hey, bud, this ain't, he came over from the Air Force. This ain't no fucking Air Force course, buddy. Like
Yep.
50% of the motherfuckers are going to be gone on Friday. No, he's arguing with me. I said, as soon as he started arguing, I said, this motherfucker's going to quit. And sure enough, he quit on Thursday. Called me. I can't do this. He had a wife and a young kid. And I had told him in the beginning, it's a
Oh
really bad,
man,
really bad.
that's one we should. I think that I'd like to
We can
talk
talk about
about,
it.
kind of talk about like what makes guys quit. Okay, now I don't always think it's like just a lack of toughness or intestinal fortitude or anything like that. Sometimes I think
Yep.
it's things like that, right? Like, for example, I had one buddy who wife, 3 kids. His wife was former Navy. She had gotten out, and dude, she did not want him in the military. She was fucking done with the military. Like, hey, get the fuck out. We don't need to be here. We want to be like a regular life, right? But he wanted to be a Green Beret, and I can tell you, man, he ended up quitting midway through the Q course. And he was a stellar dude. He was one of those dudes where I'm like, yeah, this guy's gonna make it, right? And it was just his wife constantly dragging him on, like, I don't want to be in this life, right? And so he ends up making that decision. For me, I think it might be interesting to talk about the mentality of quitting. I think it really is a mentality. I think you have people, and the type of person that becomes a Navy SEAL or a Green Beret has sort of bypassed like this mental block of quitting. And I think this is why I think it's really important for your kids, if they do sports or whatever, you don't force them to do anything, right? But if they sign up for track for
Yep.
a season, you cannot let them quit midway through it. They have to
Ye-
complete it. They don't have to do it after that, right? But they have to complete that season, because I think once you breed the mentality of quitting, once you quit once, it is so easy to continue to quit. So for you, what do you think in your did you ever like, because it's funny, I talk to guys that have made it through, and it's like there's always times where like this is the fucking worst. Was there ever a time where you were like, I should just fucking quit, where you really were actually close?
So
Because
I'm gonna
not
be honest.
a lot of guys never had that. Like, and I'll tell you my story with that. But it's
So I'm
interesting, I think, to talk about.
I'm gonna say this because Buds was really fun for me. Okay, but I grew up in a household where it was nothing to wake up on Saturday and do 6 hours of manual labor, six
Mm,
hours of moving rocks, 6 hours of digging. Like
yeah.
we were poor, man. We ain't had no money, so everything got fixed by my hands or my dad's hands, And so I think it was different. I also wrestled in college, man, and
Yeah.
if you ask
I think
me,
that's a big one.
wrestling in college was I normally use 10 times. I will say wrestling in college for me was 10 times harder than any day at Buds. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Buds was 10 months, long, drawn out, fucking suck
Hmm.
factor. But for me, like if I had showed up, I showed up 100% out of shape. I just came off a ship. I hadn't worked out. Now, I was in shape in May, wrestled on the All Navy wrestling team. I was in world class shape. Okay. But I got asthma real bad. So if I don't run for fucking a week, I'm done. All right. But
Yeah.
for me, like, dude, it was so much fun. Like, you got to pee your pants, man. Like, you'd be on a run and you'd be like,
Yeah,
fuck it.
yeah.
You
Or a
just,
ruck march. Yeah, a lot of
yeah,
times you just piss, dude. Fuck it.
yeah, like I would take it out and spray, right? Like, spray off to the side,
Dude, there
like,
was there was ruck marches that we would do in like monsoons where I would just piss my pants, dude. Like your pants are
yep,
so soaked, you're just like, whatever. I'm not gonna. I'm jogging with a rucksack for 12 miles. I'm not gonna stop.
I'm not
But yeah, you're
stopping.
not wrong.
No.
Yeah,
But so so that aspect of it, the other aspect that I just fucking love was the savagery, bruh. Like you don't fucking I like, hey, like one of my officers was a young officer, fresh out of fucking OCS. He was a good dude, but he was kind of a little bit like he was out of place. But he went up to Ardak with Captain Bissett and got fucking trained up, and he was fucking crushing it. He was the fastest runner in our class, and he fucking was talking shit to one of the E3s who had been to Buds already, who was a fucking savage. And I was just kind of listening, like, man, that ain't how you really talk to people. And then he said, "You'll do what I fucking say, E3." I was like,
oh,
"Ooh, hey,
that's
circle up, right?"
so. Hey, let me just ask, because I think I love these conversations because we get to learn like intricate things about SFAS and the Q course compared to Buds. Do
Yeah.
you guys? So when you talked about like that is a huge fucking no in SFAS. Not only that, but you don't wear rank in SFAS. Like
So
nobody wears their rank. Everybody's a fuzzy. So and it's for that reason. Like there is no fucking pulling rank on someone in the qualification course or in SFAS. Everyone's an equal. Is that how it is at Buds as well?
no. Officers, there's rank. Everybody got their rank on. So like, but now
Oh,
here's
okay.
the deal. Here's what I'm gonna say. If you pull rank, you fucking better be ready. Like I never pulled rank one fucking time, right? Like there's not one
Right.
time I was like, hey, I'm a JG, you're a fucking ensign, do what I say do,
Well,
right?
and if you're a good leader, you really shouldn't need to, you
You
know.
don't
But
need to. So anyway, we circled the class up. We had a fight, okay? And the E3 beat the fucking ensign. Like, we ain't let him beat him up bad, right? But like he smoked him a couple
yeah,
times in the face. And then I was like, okay, are you good, ensign? And he was like looking at me. I'm like, bro, man, treat everybody with respect, man. We don't
yeah,
like that motherfucker's just as important as you are. Like,
yeah.
and you guys are over here bitching about something like it's probably stupid in the first place. And so like I love that, right? Like I love the fact that you could just grab a motherfucker and punch him in the face and be like, "Hey, you motherfucker." And I got punched in the face. Okay? Like I was on my last time 4-mile swim. If I didn't pass, I was getting either kicked out or rolled. I was swimming for my life and I fucking broke. Like I broke 400 yards from the boat. I was fucking
Yeah.
crying like, and John Zinn, rest his soul, punched me right in the face. Wham! We don't have time for this shit. Swim. Oh, okay. And we passed by 20 seconds. There was 4 people that passed the swim out of the whole class. Like
That's
like
funny.
22 people got rolled out of my class right there, which 11 swim pairs, which is fucking crazy. I didn't remember this story. I remembered my part of it, but
Yeah.
I loved the savage nature of the business because that's how I grew up. I love to fight, man. I love to fight. Yeah, give me if I could fight every day, like I like just a good fist fight, man. Like the adrenaline and like like. But I know I was a little bit different, but I'll tell you this: a lot of the dudes are the same way, man. Like
So, well, with my original question, did you ever have a time where you actually like legitimately were like, I should quit? Did it
I,
ever even come into your brain?
let me say this. I will stand corrected. In SEAL training and training, absolutely not. Like that shit was the funnest shit in the world. The hardest shit in the world was like because it was I related back to wrestling. I got to eat, I got to sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So all I had to do was work hard. I could work hard. Now, I'll tell you when I started thinking about quitting. When I got into the SEAL teams and my race became a major issue. Okay.
Well, yeah, back in the '90s, right? That's a whole
In
different
the 90s, I was the
environment
only
than it is now.
and it was I am mature enough to now to understand that I had a huge role in it. Okay?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
if you called me the N-word, I beat the living shit out of you. And
yeah.
so what happened was more guys were like, "Oh, that's the scab. Pick the scab. Pick the scab." But it wasn't until I got into my platoon with shitty ass Keith Burney, the worst fucking officer in the community, who had already been fired 3 times, and I couldn't do anything right. And I was just
Mhm.
like, you know what? I'm out of here, bro. Like I'm gonna do this platoon and I'm fucking out of here.
So
Like,
I like that because I like what you're talking about here when we talk about when guys quit. That's what I want to talk about next. And it can be I've watched dudes quit on fucking ODAs, man. So that's an interesting topic. When guys quit, this is an interesting one. When which phase or like when did you see like guys quit the most? I think for us in special forces assessment and selection, land nav's a big one, man. Like dudes that are fucking lost, right? It's 7 hours in, they haven't found their first point, they don't know where the hell they are, they're stuck in a draw. Oh man, that like North Carolina swamps at night, that gets a lot of dudes. Team week, surprisingly, like that's kind of our hell week, and you're obviously familiar with it.
yep,
Not as
yep.
many because it's one of those things of like it's just a physical suck fest. Whereas land navigation fucks with your brain, right? It's not
Yeah.
that hard. You're
Yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
walking around the forest. But man, like when you get lost and it's nighttime and you start to panic and you don't know where you're going, man, I think for us at SFAS at least, that was definitely where I saw the most quitters.
So
What about
so
for you
I'm gonna
guys?
for us it's like a drip. Okay. So you have call it 8 weeks of ramp up, 6 weeks of ramp up, okay, pre-buds, whatever you want to call it. Nobody's yelling, nobody's screaming, but you're doing a volume of work. Every morning somebody's going to quit. You're going to have 2 or 3 guys quit. So you're going to start day one with probably between 200 and 250 guys. Okay. You're going to class up with somewhere around 120 to 100. All
So
right. So you're
that's
going to lose.
finishes buds.
No, 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 no. Just the day one of training. Like day one, you're going to
Oh,
lose. You're going to
God.
lose. You're going to lose probably 75 people before you even get to training. And this is where it gets
Okay,
crazy, Nate. This is where
I
it
see what
gets
you're saying.
crazy. So let's say you start day one. We'll just use a round number, 100. Okay. You are going to have 10 people quit every day until Friday. And you will be down to 50 on Friday in 1 week. Then, like, and
Is
the
there
crazy,
water involved in this, or is this just
oh,
like
every day,
PT
every day,
and
no,
okay,
every day,
okay.
every day, every day. So, like,
So put
you're
like pool
starting.
comp stuff.
No, 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 no. Yeah, the swimming pool, you're tied up though. Like you got your
Yeah, yeah,
feet are
that's what I
tied up.
mean.
You're practicing
Like
ground pushing.
yeah, yeah, that's what I mean. You're doing like your
Yeah.
we call it MAC Maritime Assessment Course events.
Yes.
But yeah, yeah, okay. So
You're
you're
in the
doing that type
pool.
of stuff.
You're in the pool
Yeah, which
every day.
sucks.
But here's where it's crazy. I think they ramp up the number of instructors. So there's M60s, there's flashbangs, there's grenade simulators, and there's smoke grenades at pretty much every event.
Right.
And cats start saying, "Oh my God, it's gonna be like this every day. It's gonna be like this every day,
Right.
every day." And then after that, like then you got tests. Like you got drown proofing. You're gonna lose a couple people. You got a 50-meter underwater swim. For whatever reason, I've seen people pass out when they jump in the pool. Like they swim 4 strokes, they not even a quarter of the way across the pool and they pass out.
Yeah.
And then you have that. You got treading water. You got about 5 evolutions that are going to get some people. And then obvious for us, you got Hell Week, right? And Hell Week is another one of those things where, like, it's just voodoo. Like, weird shit happens. Like, I tell this story real quick. Okay, so we're at the Bayside. We get attacked by these arthropods. They cut us. We're bleeding. Everybody's bleeding. So we stand up. I'm like, holy shit. Everybody has just got blood running down. So the instructors are like, no, get back in the water. I'm like, fuck you. We get out of the water. They're like, oh, shit. So then, like, okay. So they let us, this is SEAL training. We were butt-ass naked in the water getting eaten alive by these arthropods. Put your clothes back on. We're going to get back in the water. 3 or 4 dudes quit right there, okay? The water was cold. Air temp was 37 degrees. We get in the water. They had this thing called Lion's Lope where you just, like, do like this. And I kept watching this boat crew, and they were angling towards this little dock. We were maybe like 20 yards off the beach. Like, we're just parallel on the beach. I'm like, God, what are they doing, man? Like, it wasn't hard. Like, you're just cold. The whole boat crew got out. The whole boat crew. All 7 of them. I was like, hey, where you going? We're quitting.
All of them?
All 7.
Oh, well, that's, hey, man, I'll tell you this, though. I'm sure you've seen this. Quitting is contagious out there, brother.
Yeah, brother.
It is. When one guy does it, it opens the flood. It's almost like people that are going to quit are kind of just like waiting for confirmation in their own brain. Like, oh, see, it's not that big of a deal. Other people are doing it too. I would see that a lot. I was actually gonna talk about a story with that after once you're done.
So at that one evolution, those 7 dudes quit. 4 dudes quit from the bugs biting them, right? The arthropods. And then the biggest, baddest dude in our class, 6'7", 240 pounds, soda can abs, Alaskan outdoor musher, walked up. And I was standing. He's like, I want to be free like the dolphins. So the marine mammal program was right behind us. You could see the dolphins, right? Yeah.
Was this Hell Week?
Yeah, Hell Week. Tuesday.
Okay. So yeah. All right.
I want to be free like the dolphins. I was like, what? He's like, I don't want to be here no more. And he just started bawling, man. And the instructors were like, come with us. But it's 6'7", 240, just shredded dude. And he just broke, man.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 100%. Like, it don't matter how big, strong, fast, fit you are. Like, the quitting bug doesn't really care about that. You'll see some of the biggest, strongest dudes, most fit dudes in the class quit, and you'll see the dudes who are like 98th percentile on every event that just keep trucking along, and they'll end up making it through. For us, I'm sure you have like quitting fuck games where instructors do stuff to like kind of not trick guys into quitting, but like incentivize quitting. So for us, SFAS, a huge one, land navigation, what they'll do. I was in SFAS in December, and it was like 35 degrees and pissing rain the entire time, which is just like the worst possible conditions. So everybody did, when you're out land nav for 4 or 5 days and it just has rained the entire time, you're wet. You're just literally soaking wet the entire time. And what they'll do is you'll get back from land navigation, and the instructors will have big ass barbecues and burn barrels, and they'll be roasting hot dogs, drinking beer, cooking hot dogs, burgers. And then you come up when you get done with land nav, and you like are at your little poncho 40 feet away from all this going on. And the instructors will be like, hey man, you tired of getting fucking pissed on by this rain? Come over here, dude. Hot dogs, burgers, warm clothes, fire, beer. All you got to do is V-dub. All you got to do is quit.
What would happen if you just ran over there and took a fucking hot dog?
Oh, you'd get dropped. I'm sure they wouldn't let you do it. But my point is it's
they would drop you?
Oh, if you ran over there and took a hot dog, you're
going in front of them.
Well, you're gonna, I mean, that's like basically to go over there, you're quitting, right? Like that's where the quitting section is. So my point is, quitting is, again, you've been out there for 3 days, you barely slept at all, right? You're hungry, you're tired, you're 2 weeks into SFAS, you're tired of getting pissed on, you're shivering. I'm sitting on my ruck wearing flip-flops in 36-degree weather under a poncho, just getting pissed on for hours. And you're just looking at and they're just like, hey, come on over. And you would be amazed at how many guys would get back from an entire day at land nav, brother. They would do 12-hour land navigation course in the dark, pissing rain, pass the day, and then and they'll do it in the morning too. That's the most fucked up thing, is they'll have the fires out and the food ready in the morning. So when you wake up to go step off on your next 12-hour iteration, or at night, whatever we're doing, and it's just like that's when. Dude, I swear that wake up after the worst stuff, it's not the events. You don't see that many people quit during the events. It's like when the event's complete or the next morning wake up after a really brutal day where, dude, it's like the floodgates open and people just like get out of their sleeping bags and are like, nope, fuck no. Like,
So
I'm
Nate,
out.
so in Hell Week, winners get hot showers. Okay.
Oh, okay.
I refuse. I'm like,
Team week, when like the winners get hot chow if you get back.
yeah.
So, yeah,
So
we do have some incentives.
like I can remember sitting there and the instructor's like, get in the shower. I'm like, nope, not getting in the shower. They're like, you have to take a hot shower. I'm like, fuck you, I'm not getting in the shower. I would put so you got new clothes every 12 hours because you had to go through a health and welfare inspection and they had new clothes for you.
Well, you guys are wet with the sand and everything the entire time.
Yeah. Like they trying to.
Up.
We had a kid in '94 almost lose his leg to bacterial infection. So they were like, you had to get disinfected. The doctor fucking butt naked looked at every inch of your body, bottom of your feet, and then you got to put dry clothes on. Yeah. I washed my clothes. They had the sanitary bucket with this green shit in it. It might have been simple green. I would wash my clothes in
it. Probably was, yeah.
Yeah, wash my clothes in there, wash them in the shower, and put them right back on wet. Because I was like, well, fuck, I'm taking a hot shower and putting dry clothes on. But I'm going to tell you what got people to buzz. There's two things that I used to just be like, oh, God, do not do that one. Hypothermic dudes would go to the hot tub until their temperature was back to 98.7, and they would pull them right out of that fucking hot tub, put their clothes back on, and send them right back out there into the water. And them dudes would just crack like eggs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And then the other one that I never understood, at the end of every run, they would be like, the number is 3. We will stop this run when 3 people quit.
We do that too. Yeah.
We would run by the compound and somebody would quit. And there's one.
I'm gonna give you an example of what we do with that too at SFAS. Dude, like the trick fuckery, right? The instructors are good at this stuff. What we do, or the instructors do a lot of times out of SFAS. So if anybody's going to go to SFAS, here's a little fucking fun tip not to quit when this happens. So after like a full day of team week, right, where like you get back, you're completely broken, you made it, you got your chow, you're literally like it's about midnight, so you're finally allowed to go to sleep. You get into bed. It's like 12:04. Boom, the lights come on. Everybody get your fucking rucksacks on. We're going for a fucking ruck march. Now again, like this is your little 4-hour window of sleep. You're in the 3rd week of SFAS. This is like your one time where you finally get a recoup a little bit. And again, team week, the next day of team week's coming in 4 hours. So they get everybody up, rucksacks on, fucking outside, line everybody up, start the fucking ruck march. Right? Here we go. And bro, like you just said, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that just fucking throw the rucksack down, ring the bell, we're out. And bro, you know what they would do? They would walk us around the barracks and then put us right back in our rooms and say, go to fucking sleep. It was like a 3-minute rucksack march, but people didn't know that. And they would just do that. And dude, people would just fucking quit. And then those dudes that quit are like sitting there 3 minutes later as everybody goes back up to the barracks. And it's like,
but Nate, you know as well as I do, when you get out into the real world, there's shit that you like. I'm gonna tell you, the real world training does not compare at all to the real world. Like it's fuck. Training is kindergarten. You get out in the real fucking world. Like we had a whole SEAL platoon almost die. Hypothermia, got caught in the swamps of North Carolina. SEAL Team 4. Fucking 99, big ass exercise. Fucking Commander Winters was a maniac from Dev Group. Told them motherfuckers to get going. They fucking had to do a mission. They were in the middle of the swamp. They got lost. They got hypothermia. They had to call the fucking Coast Guard to come in and boom them out. Like no bullshit. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Like you swimming in the bay, like in the East Coast, it's 42-degree water temp. And you're fucking doing an ocean swim, a 3-mile ocean swim in fucking December, breaking ice.
So for the viewers who don't understand why our training is so fucked up and so hard, what Jake's talking about right there, the reason why our training is so hard and we weed out all of the people that have any quit in them, and I'm talking about like most of the guys that pass, you literally would have to kill them. You would have to actually kill them to get them to quit. Yeah. And guess what? On an operational mission like you're talking about, there's no quitting. You don't just get a quit in the middle of the North Carolina swamp by yourself. There's no fucking instructors there to come get you, right, to take you, back to the fire. You're out there with your team. Same thing in combat, right? Like there's no just like, you don't just sit down and give up. So you cannot have any quit inside of any of these dudes, because when you do get in a situation like that, You can't have dudes just giving up. It's just
No, no, you
it's not the way
can't
it works.
because the second thing is there ain't a lot of you.
Yeah,
Like for you
yeah,
guys, there's 12. You might
right.
have 10 people on the mission. How many people would you roll out the door with out of the 12?
Well, I mean, it depends on what we're doing. Like bigger combat operations, you're gonna have. Well, actually, there were some missions we had like 9 dudes, man, because we had
That,
guys
that
injured, guys had
that's what
gotten
I'm
blown
saying.
up a mission
Yeah.
before. So yeah, it's. Well, and
So
then you
we
have a bunch
op.
of fucking you have a bunch of partner force. Like that's it. So yeah, you might have
Yeah.
like, but we're also, if we're doing operations, we're not all together. We're gonna be split up across huge wafts of area. So you
Yep.
have like one other American with you, man.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
and that's
And
it.
so for us, we do a
And
lot of
if
four-man
he
games.
quits, yeah.
We got a lot of four-man games, right? We got a lot of eight-man games. Very seldom do we have 16-man games, right? Even then, it might be 14-man games because you're gonna have two people hurt. You're gonna have somebody doing something like, okay, we got a bunch of moving parts. We need a liaison over here
Yeah,
so that we
somebody's
will
up
get
at
through.
Bagram because they're an LNO. Yeah, there's like always
Yep.
somebody you got to do something for
Yep.
sure.
And so then it's like you start looking around. You got four people. I mean, I'm not gonna throw my boy under the bus, but one dude threw his gun down and ran away from the gunfight, and everybody got killed.
Yeah, that
You
happens,
know,
right?
so
Yeah, we know there's more of those stories than people realize. Unfortunately, they don't all
yeah.
end in the Operation Red Wings fashion, but that can happen. All right,
Okay,
for
so
me.
someone asked me why would I keep wet clothes on? Okay, so I grew up
Hmm.
in Washington State. I know what it's like to be wet and miserable. The last thing you want to do is put on dry clothes and feel all good
And
and
then get
then
wet again.
walk right back outdoors and get in the decon shower and be wet again. So
Hmm.
my personal opinion is I would rather be as miserable as I possibly can 100% of the time until it's time to actually stop whatever I'm doing. So I'm
Yep.
not ever gonna come in and get a hot coffee. Like they were handing out hot cups of coffee and stuff like that. Burned my tongue the first time I had some hot broth. After that, I didn't take none of their hot shit. Like fuck it, I don't want none of it. I don't want none of it. So I thought that was a good question. What do you got?
Uh, No, I'm good on chats, but I wanted to caveat on that what you just said, which is important. It's much like I said with why guys quit when they wake up in the morning, or why guys quit once training is finally over. Like for whatever reason, again, just during the suck, very very few people quit. It's once they are comfortable, and the idea of going back into the suck after being comfortable, that's what makes I think the majority of the guys quit.
I got one more wrap up, Nate. Okay, I think it's important to understand. You talked about your family deal. I wanted to tell this story. Okay,
Yeah, that was a big anti-quit for me, but
I had a young man that was going to selection, so to AFAS out of Georgia. Good country dude, okay? Two kids, young kids, a wife, real religious, tough dude, tough guy, man. Like he was fucking, I was like, man, okay. I'm like, look, man, I don't think you should go. He's like, I'm going, okay? All right, I don't think you should go. Why? You got kids, you got a wife, like you're the mainstay of the family. You're gonna disappear for 3 years.
yeah.
I think God'll look after us. Okay, you're going to hell. There ain't no God in hell. Okay, all right, like
Yeah, where you're
damn.
headed, there
Okay,
ain't no God. Yeah, that's
God don't
true.
exist in that thing called fucking buds. Okay,
Not
so
at Camp McCall either, man. Yeah.
yep. So he goes AFAS. Calls me on Thursday. I said, what happened, man? He was crying. I said, listen, man, it's all right, bro. He said, this is the first time in my life. He said, I've been with my wife since 12 years old,
Mm,
since the sixth grade. He's like, this is the first time in my life that I haven't talked to her in 24 hours. And
yep.
I hadn't talked to her in 5 days. And I can't do this, man. Like he was crying. I just say, bud, like, it ain't for everybody, man. You made a
Yep.
good run at it. Like, keep your head up.
100%. It's definitely not for everybody. I mean, I've told the story of, like most guys are going to lose their wives in the Q course, me included. It's like it's the reality of it. If you're willing to sacrifice what you need to sacrifice to spend 2 years plus earning a Green Beret, it's tough to do. Like obviously, lots of guys made it through with wives and kids, and they were just fine. But I'll tell you, 100% of them that did, their wives are all super independent, strong, badass chicks, dude. If your wife is like highly emotionally and everything dependent on you, and there's nothing wrong with that, like at all. I'm just saying, when I say it's not for everybody, it's not just the dude trying out. It's also the families, right? Some families, man, these like my current wife, she's badass, dude. No issues.
Mm.
But
My, my,
not
my,
not all not all SF, like not all women can handle being an SF wife, I
my,
think
my,
is where
my
I'm
little
going with
hippie
that.
girlfriend, my little gypsy girl from Washington State. Okay. Come back from Puerto Rico. She got the paper. Dev Group was in Colombia and dude got killed. Okay. You were in Colombia. No, I was in fucking Puerto Rico, Rosie Roads, fucking free diving every fucking day. I wasn't doing shit. You're lying to me. You're a fucking killer. You're a killer. Like, I'm gonna marry a killer. I'm like, look, first of all, I ain't killing nobody. I was fucking on a dive trip. Like, fucking relax. Okay? Boom. This is Saturday afternoon. I got back. The admiral got pissed we left early. Okay, this is back when we were trying to keep us under 200 days away from home. Fucking
Mm,
impossible. Okay,
yeah.
I get a phone call at 3 in the morning. Hey, bird leaves at 6. Be on it. Out of NOB. We're all just meeting there. Don't bring no gear. Fuck whatever. We're gonna meet you. Plane takes off at 6. Be there. So she's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "Oh, I gotta go back to Rosie Rose." She fucking hyperventilates and passes out on the fucking floor, bruh. I'm
Oh
like,
my god.
I put her in the truck. I drop her off at the fucking emergency room. That's the last time I saw her. When
Yeah.
I got
I
back, when
mean,
I got back from that trip, she wasn't in her. All her shit was cleaned out. She took her
yep.
gypsy ass back to Washington State.
Yep.
So
I mean, I've had the same thing happen to me. All right.
we're gonna have a shootout. Nate's coming out here to San Antonio. We're gonna try to get the whole war room out here. We're gonna be shooting Navy SEAL, PJ, Green Berets, my man Ben Pappas, Marsoc Marine. Hey, if you guys that aren't following Ben Pappas, Ben's tuning up his YouTube. It's Ben Pappas, Pappas 1 over on YouTube. Go over there and follow him real quick. Obviously, go over and follow the War Room if you're not following our Friday night jam session.